Hi, today we're going to be going over creating alignments in OpenRoads for use in IHSDM modeling projects. OpenRoads has a couple of different benefits over InRoads that make it easier to coordinate with the roadway teams and strictly for importing into IHSDM itself. So to start off, this is our project file. In part one, we discussed how to set up the project file with the line work and with the existing terrain files that will be provided by the roadway team. And we went through where to find them and what information you needed. So for this, we're going to be creating the horizontal and vertical alignments for this street right here called Market Street. So in order to do that, the first thing we want to do is set the active profile of so it knows that we're making alignments in OpenRoads. So what we're going to do is just select the feature definition of geometry baseline, and then we also want to make sure that this little button is selected so that new lines will be on that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a line between points. We're going to snap our first click along the center line. As far as the snapping on the button bar, I typically tend to use this multi-snap, but most of these will do something that you want. So our second snap is going to be a point just before the curvature starts, and now we have our first line. So for IHSDM, we typically tend to extend these into the intersection right at the center point. You would take it to the intersecting cross street or drag it through depending on what kind of analysis you're doing, but for now I'm just going to drop it in the intersection. This other point, we can snip that point and extend it way out because it's going to be cut when we add in an arc. So we're going to just add in one more line between points at the end of the curve. So we're going to snap one point there, and we'll snap one point all the way through the intersection because typically in IHSDM we would model this intersection. So we're going to just extend that all the way out. You can do the same thing with this line if you want. You can extend it out. Now you can kind of see where that intersection point is. But now we're going to insert the arc. So we're going to do arc between elements, simple arc. And down here, your options are going to be trim extend, and we want both. Radius we can unsnap. The radius that I have found for this curve is 2750, but I'll unsnap it for now just so you can see. So now click on your first line and then click on your second line, and it'll have this orange curve come up. And now you can just snap it right to that center line, and it'll give you a value for what it thinks the curve radius is. So mine looks to be about 2950, so I'm going to key that in and press enter. And then when trim extend both comes up, it's going to trim off these excess lines here. So we're going to go ahead and left click to accept that, and now we have our two straight lines, our nice horizontal curve, and then the finishing tangent. So what's good about OpenRoads is that it's very easy to edit the geometry of this arc. So it's locked in now, but if you wanted to unlock it, you can unlock it and easily change that radius, and it will change automatically the stationing, and it will adjust these tangent lines automatically, and it's something that was not easy to do in InRoads. So now we want to combine them into an alignment, so we're going to do complex by element. So our method, we're going to do automatic. Manual just means that you'd have to pick every piece, but that would take a little bit more effort. And when we come down to name here, this is where we're going to name our street. So we're just going to name it Market Street. So now that we have an alignment, we're going to hover over our first line, and you can see that there is a purple arrow pointing in the direction that we want. So we're going to click on the line, left click, and then left click again to accept. And now our line is defined as an alignment, and it will show up in our alignment window over here. So one other important thing to do is know how to show the stationing of this. So that is just going to be simply drawing production annotate element, and then we're going to left click on our alignment, left click to accept, and now the stationing shows up. So it ends at 15 plus 25 to 30, it looks like, and it starts at station 0. It is possible to change the starting station. Typically we only do that for ramp alignments. Again, it doesn't matter significantly for IHSDM, but it is possible to change a starting station if that's something you're looking to do. So now that we have the horizontal alignment created, now we are going to create a vertical alignment. Vertical alignment creation in InRoads or in OpenRoads, typically what we're just going to do is make it just a flat profile. We're not going to model any vertical elevations. However, with the advancement in the technology of OpenRoads, eventually we may start modeling vertical profiles. But for this tutorial, I'm simply going to just do a flat profile, and then in the future, once state DOTs start requesting vertical profile modeling, we can incorporate that into our safety analysis as well. So we're going to click on our line here, we're going to hover over it, and it's going to come up with this open profile model. So we're going to click on that, and then it's going to want us to select or open a view. So we're going to come down here and click on view 3, and then we're just going to left click to accept, and it's going to bring in a profile model for us. So this is the vertical profile of that line, or of that alignment. As you can see, I don't know, it looks like it maybe has a slight positive grade, maybe a little vertical curvature, but not a ton. So we're just going to make this into just simply a flat alignment, or just maybe a very shallow increase in grade. So we're going to come over here to line, and then we're going to do profile between lines. So we're going to snap to our start point. We're going to come over and snap to our endpoint. So we're going to have a very, very shallow slope of 0.1% positive, a positive slope. So that's more than okay for this type of analysis. And realistically, that's probably what the vertical profile of that roadway actually looks like. So now that we have the vertical profile done, we're going to select our line, hover over it, and then we're going to do set as active profile. So that sets this line as the active profile. If you wanted to, you could also set this existing line. However, this line will provide better analysis. All right, so now we can close out of that. Now if we look at our Market Street complex element, you can see in it we've got a active vertical profile as well as the 3 different elements of the actual model itself. So the final step here is exporting this alignment. So we're going to come to geometry, import, export. We're going to do export geometry. Parameter type, we have land XML. Version, I don't think it matters particularly too much, and click on only active profiles. So now we're going to come down, we're going to accept land XML. We're going to click on our alignment, left click again to accept, right click. So now we can save it out as Market Street XML. Click OK, and now it's saved. So let's go into IHSDM. I've already got a Market Street in here just from going through it earlier. So we're going to do import highway intersection. Here's our new Market Street XML file. We can click finish. Let's just throw a couple lanes in there just so we can all see it. Now if we do view highway, here we have our Market Street alignment. So the best part that I've found of using OpenRoads is you don't have to enter this start angle of the alignment, which was a big pain in the butt with InRoads, where we had to measure all of these starting angles and enter them manually, but you do not have to do that with OpenRoads, which is very nice. So now that we have this in here, this is in here, so now we can just save this file, and it saves as a DGN file. There's no ALG to save. All the alignments are just stored in one place. It makes it super easy to create multiple alignments in the same file. And then if you want to do build alignments and no build in the same file, you can use a different feature type, or geometry baseline secondary. It's much easier to work with OpenRoads for creating alignments. So I hope this tutorial helped. It is very useful for IHSDM, and I anticipate that we will use it quite a bit going forwards. And also, just for reference, the version of OpenRoads that you use is project specific, so coordinate with the roadway team that you're working with on what version of OpenRoads that all of their project files are in. So thank you. I hope this was a helpful tutorial.